The mayor wants to see answers while many wait to see footage of exactly what happened. Mayor Ron Nirenberg formally requesting a complete review of the San Antonio Police Department's body cam policies after an officer shot and killed a man yesterday. We briefly told you about this breaking news story at 5 o'clock.
We received that memo from the mayor within the last 45 minutes or so. In it, Mayor Ron Nirenberg says the review would help improve police department transparency, accountability, and public accessibility. That review is expected to be done by the full city council.
The mayor also said in part, quote, "I look forward to the ensuing discussions and working with each of you to realize our mutual goals to benefit the city of San Antonio and its residents." End quote.
Meantime, protesters have been calling for the release of body cam footage after a Bexar County sheriff's deputy shot and killed a man. Sheriff
Javier Salazar, who promised full transparency following the shooting, now saying the county will ask the attorney general to withhold the video.
And that is a process that could take several months. Devin Clark is following this top story.
Protests and calls for justice follow the deputy shooting of 31-year-old combat veteran Damian Daniels, who was reportedly suffering a mental health episode at the time.
Reports were that he was suicidal, that he was despondent over the loss of several family members. Very recently, there was also some indicators that he may have been seeing things and hearing voices.
It's a case that quickly became high profile after Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar said one of his deputies was forced to shoot Daniels because he was wrestling with another deputy over a gun that Daniels pulled from his waistband. And what he called an effort to be transparent, Sheriff Salazar almost immediately released several still body cam photos from the incident. Salazar says the images show Daniels with the gun under his shirt and the ensuing struggle. Now, Salazar says his office will withhold the full body cam footage pending the opinion of the Attorney General's office. Today, BCSO sent us a statement that reads, quote, "Sheriff Salazar is committed to a full and transparent investigation, and as he stated at the onset, he has every intention of releasing the video as soon as the investigation able, but without jeopardizing the case. At this time, the investigation is open and ongoing," end quote. Meanwhile, Daniels' attorney is disputing the claim that he was suicidal. Daniels' mother, Annette Daniels, relaying her own sentiments through the attorney, saying, quote, "To see a loved one who is in clear crisis be senselessly murdered after serving his country is unbearable. We pleaded for help. They gave us death. My son didn't deserve this. No one does," end quote.
And we understand that BCSO has not yet reached out to the AG's office, but once it does, it could take 45 to 60 days before they come back with a response, which means it could be late fall before we find out if that body cam footage will be released. Reporting outside of the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, Devin Clark, KSAT 12 News.
And now to the shooting death of another man, this time at the hands of San Antonio police.
Today's San Antonio police officials released records describing brought them to Daryl Zamalt Sr.'s home. He was killed in his front yard yesterday.
Multiple reports filed with police this year accuse Zamalt of harassing and stalking a former girlfriend. A separate warrant for his arrest indicates that in July, he dragged the woman outside of a home, injuring her and then leaving.
5 officers, 3 in plain clothes, 2 in uniform, were attempting to take Zamalt into custody in the 100 block of Willie yesterday. That's on the northwest side. Police say Zamalt hit one of them with a paint can, then grabbed an officer's gun, forcing another officer to shoot him. That's what the police department's saying. A family friend today said the narrative is inaccurate and called on the department to release the body cam footage of the shooting.
Anyone who has ever known Daryl Zamalt Sr. knows that he would give you his last. He would give you the clothing off of his back. He takes care of this entire community.
Police department officials have so far not released body-worn camera footage of the shooting. In a statement today, Mayor Ron Nirenberg called on it to be released as soon as the department finishes its investigation. And of course, you heard him earlier in the show talking about the fact that we will be looking at a review of body cam footage as well and the city's policy on it. We'll be speaking with the mayor later in the show as part of our KSAT Q&A segment.
An increased focus on police has also included a much more intense look at their budgets. The San Antonio City Council is prepared to pass a budget tomorrow, but today they were looking at any final tweaks. City Hall reporter Garrett Berger joins us live. So Garrett, any big changes that we saw today?
When you look at the budget as a $2.9 billion whole, the proposed amendments are small, an extra $4 million in the operating budget and $2.4 million in the capital budget. These proposals are based on requests made by council members. One of the biggest issues is housing, which includes more money for a program to help struggling residents pay their rent and other bills. Councilman John Courage and Councilman Clayton Perry advocated for sending all $4 million from the proposed operating budget amendments towards housing, which would be an extra $1.5 million.
If this is available to us, we need to give it to the people that need the help now, because that should be our number one priority. And it is for me.
One change noticeably absent was any real move to, quote, defund the police, something activists have been very vocal about during this entire process. The presentation today included the elimination of a hiring bonus for police cadets. Well, the city manager chalked that up to the fact that the city doesn't need it anymore to fill positions. Though the Public Safety Committee chairwoman, Melissa Cabello-Haverda, briefly mentioned that she did not think the council had done enough to look at police funding, neither she nor any other council member requested any changes to SAPD's budget. Now, the city manager has proposed a plan for taking a deeper look at the police department and whether the city can change some of its functions. But that process wouldn't end until next spring. Meanwhile, council will be voting on a final budget tomorrow morning. Live in the newsroom, I'm Garrett Berger. Steve, Myra.
Thank you, Garrett. Mirroring the county's rapid growth, Comal County is about to open a new $72 million jail to handle an increase in prisoner population. The state-of-the-art lockup can not only house more prisoners, it can make money for Comal County. Here's Paul Venema to explain.
It'll be another week or so before the prisoners begin to move into this new 600 prisoner bed jail. The design, Sheriff Mark Reynolds explained, was the result of extensive research.
We had the opportunity to look at 4 or 5 other county jails in Texas, take the best of those designs, incorporate them into this one.
The jail features what the sheriff said is a pod design.
Our pods are designed where almost everything that an inmate would need or officers would have cause for are located within that pod, so inmates aren't having to be moved all over the jail.
Above the pods, control stations.
From the officer's control station, it allows the officer to see the entire day room and all 6 day rooms.
The jail also includes a 60-bed infirmary for treating both male and female inmates, and it features isolation rooms should COVID-19 become an issue.
We would have space here to completely remove, infected inmates from those of general housing.
Among the jail's fiscally attractive features is the fact that it could expand from 600 to 1,000 beds. The extra beds could be used to house prisoners from overcrowded jails in other counties.
What it enables us to do by renting those beds or allowing out-of-county prisoners to come in is to recoup those tax dollars.
Paul Venema, KSAT 12 News.
And now to a bizarre incident in Austin today. At least 22 people hurt after 2 cranes collided in Austin. This happened around 10 this morning. Fire crews and Austin Travis County Emergency Medical Services first responded to a call about a structure collapse. But when they got there, they instead found those 2 cranes. Everyone who was injured was working construction.
All of those injuries are considered non-life-threatening. All of those injuries were also incurred as the patients were trying to evacuate the area quickly for any other subsequent incident or collapse that may be impending.
Right now, it is still not clear exactly how those cranes smashed into each other.
The importance of 2 major events this year not lost on students and faculty at Trinity University, the U.S. Census and the presidential election. Last spring, a student engagement task force spread the word about being counted in the census. Jesse Deguiado says now it's all about their votes counting.
When the class of 2024 arrived at Trinity University, the orientation video welcoming them quickly segued to this.
As you know, this year marks a big presidential election, and it's a great chance for you to exercise your voice where it matters.
A message echoed by Trinity professors when they began teaching their courses.
Connected not just in political science, but whether it's in biology, chemistry, you name the course.
It's why Jenselson, who first voted in the 2018 midterms, joined the Student Engagement Task Force.
But when it's people that are our age, telling other people our age to vote, I think it registers a little bit more.
The task force is now focused on voter education, advocate training to answer questions about the voting process, recruiting poll workers, even deputy registrars, and of course, voter registration.
We're hosting competitions to see which student organizations can register the most people to vote.
A learning experience beyond what they're taught here.
It's not just about the academic, it's not about the professors and the classes. That's all important. But we want to make sure that we're also helping produce community leaders.
So I'm very motivated to make sure my family votes, to make sure my friends and other people at Trinity vote as well.
Jesse Degollado, KSAT 12 News.
Look outside with live cam, 89 degrees out there. Okay, Katie, I was outside earlier today. Beautiful sunny, but some dark clouds off in the distance. So did some people get some rain out of today?
Yes, some people did. We've actually got a somewhat noisy storm in far southeastern Bexar County. We're going to look at that in just a sec. But first, the aquifer, no change in the past 24 hours. It's holding steady at 663.7. And in the pollen count today, mold was high. That was our issue along with fall elm. I do want to zoom in really quickly to our radar here and show you what we've got going on. Not a severe storm, but some lightning strikes here moving through Elmendorf into a portion of Wilson County there. Getting closer to Floresville, some arrival times for you here. 6:30 p.m. Some heavy rain in Floresville.
Metro Health, and this is our COVID-19 update for the San Antonio community. We are reporting 153 new cases of COVID-19, which brings our total to 50,284. Our 7-day moving average now is 117 new cases per day. We unfortunately have 3 new deaths to report tonight, which brings the total to 1,022 since this pandemic began. Our thoughts are with their families and friends as we grieve through this difficult time. Again, these are neighbors, friends, families, colleagues who we've lost, so keep them in your prayers. Tonight, there are 210 COVID patients in the hospital, which is down 18 from yesterday. There are 20 new COVID-19 related admissions to the hospitals, and there are 100 patients in the ICU. Tonight, there are also 42 patients on ventilators, so all these numbers are moving in a positive direction, with 68% of ventilators available in our hospitals and 13% of staffed hospital beds available. Let me turn it over to the judge, and then I'm going to come back with a little bit on our trending data.
Thanks, Mayor, and everybody just keep up the good work you're doing out there, and we're gonna make it through this thing. I did issue a new emergency order today because mine played out. The court extended my authority, so this one just simply carries forward what we've been doing up to October the 28th, which includes the mandatory face mask in business and a $1,000 fine, as well as a fine if a landlord moves to evict when they don't have the right to do it. It appears that the governor is going to say something tomorrow, Mayor. I'm not sure what, but I think he's got a press conference at 12. And it's always interesting to speculate on what he might do because we've been improving here and improving across the state. He may take some steps. I just hope he doesn't open bars, and I hope he doesn't take a step that would lead us back into where we were before. But we'll all should stay tuned tomorrow at 12 and listen to it.
Yeah. Well, and we are hoping that our public health authorities can continue to drive the bus with regard to this pandemic, as that's gotten us back into a position of control with the pandemic. And so I do want to share with you some trends that we are seeing in the data. While the COVID-19 situation continues to go in the right direction, we do want you to remain vigilant, especially our younger folks. We're counting on each and every one of you to help contain the virus by wearing masks, keeping physical distance from others, and staying home. Importantly, staying home when you're sick. We are going to enter in flu season very soon and want to get your vaccine as well. 21.6% of cases, actually, it should be noted, are 20 to 29-year-olds. 12% of our cases are pediatric, and they also account for 3.7% of our total hospitalizations. The most common underlying medical conditions, and again, this is very common here in our community, the most common underlying medical conditions among those who have been hospitalized includes diabetes at 37%, heart conditions 15%, lung disease and COPD 7%, asthma with 7%, and obesity 7%. 3% of hospital patients were pregnant at the time of hospitalization. The most common underlying medical conditions among those who have passed away from COVID-19 also mirrors those same numbers. Diabetes 37%, heart disease 20%, lung disease and COPD 10%, obesity 9%, and asthma 3.5%. It's a reminder that many of these health conditions are common in San Antonio, so you have to wear a mask and keep your physical distance and keep others safe if you're interested in helping us keep containment of this virus. As always, you can subscribe to the latest on COVID-19 by subscribing by text KOSA-GOV to 55000. You can also go to the website covid19.sanantonio.gov, where you can also find information on our assistance programs, such as housing assistance, as well as our workforce development strategy that's getting people back on their feet and into job training, ultimately into a new job that will pay higher wages and keep their families on track.
So we continue the promising trends. 153 new cases, 117 the 7-day 24-hour average, which is very good. And the thing that, unfortunately, 3 new deaths to report. And the thing that I noticed is 210 people hospitalized right now. It wasn't long ago we made a big deal about going under 300 people in our hospitals with COVID-19. We're about to go under 200, which is great.
And we heard from the medical director from Metro Health yesterday saying that a lot of people thought we wouldn't see the improvement that we have seen just in the last week or two. So the mayor saying all numbers moving in a positive direction, but we must remain vigilant, keep up what we have been doing. The Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolf saying that his emergency order was extended today. That keeps in place all of the requirements that are already out there, mainly the mask wearing mandatory for businesses and commercial places. That extends it through October 28th. So their main message from both the mayor and the county judge is just to keep doing what we have been doing because we are moving in the right direction.
And calling on younger people to be careful, wear the mask, social distance, wash your hands. 21.6% of the cases that we are seeing right now are between the ages of 20 and 29. 12% are pediatric cases of COVID-19.
And we also heard both of the mayor and the judge really wondering what we're going to hear from the governor tomorrow. Yeah. He is supposed to have a press conference. They're wondering what he may announce. Of course, we'll be sure to follow that and let you know, but wondering how that may come into play here in Bexar County because, again, they're happy with the numbers that we are seeing right now.
Yeah. Another happy sign, some rain out there on radar and in backyards, Katie.
Good to see it, yes. And we're going to time out this storm that is moving out of Bexar County and into Wilson County for you here very shortly. This is not a severe thunderstorm, but it is noisy. We're seeing several lightning strikes being picked up. There's some heavy rain here, also some gusty winds. The Weather Service also suspects there could be some hail around the size of nickels in a portion of this storm. That's not to severe levels. That's not going to do any damage, but it will get your attention because it will be pretty noisy. This cell is moving between about 10 and 15 miles per hour, generally off to the southeast. So with this track, it's getting to Lavernia here very shortly. It's on your back door. It'll be moving in soon. Floresville closer to 7 o'clock. Poth closer to 7:30 there in far southeastern Wilson County. We even got some rain dropping into northern Atascosa County at this time. So switching over to the hail product, I wanted to see if our hail product picked up on anything, and then I should say, fortunately, it is not. That is good news. So not seeing any big hail signatures here, but can't rule out a little bit of very small hail in that cell that, again, is moving out of Bexar County into Wilson County. Elsewhere, we've got some other nice clusters of thunderstorms down 35, a bit closer to the Cotulla area there. And some showers down on the coastal bend. So a nice kind of little speckling of some showers and non-severe storms this afternoon. As we get closer and closer to sunset, activity is going to gradually drop in coverage. But just because of the setup we're in, I don't think we're going to completely cut off the rain tonight. So even through the overnight hours and early tomorrow, some isolated showers will be possible. Most of us, though, will get through the overnight hours, pre-dawn hours of tomorrow morning without any rain. But then tomorrow afternoon, similar to what happened today, as we heat up, we'll get some more shower and thunderstorm thunderstorm development tomorrow afternoon. I do think we'll see our highest coverage tomorrow, around a 40% chance coverage-wise of some more showers and non-severe storms. So if you didn't get any rain today, you do have another shot tomorrow before rain chances really drop out of the forecast. Temperature-wise, mid-70s in the morning, very humid, warm and humid in the afternoon with highs in the upper 80s. We've been talking a lot about the tropics, so busy out there, several named systems, and also 2 areas that need to be watched for further development over the next 2 to 5 days. One is still well out in the open Atlantic, but another is a bit closer to home. This is an area of unorganized shower and thunderstorm activity that's sitting down in the Gulf of Mexico. Odds of it becoming at least a tropical depression in the next 5 days are up to about 70%. So yes, it's something that bears watching, especially since it's so close to home here. But I do want to put your mind at ease, at least for the next several days. Friday, we've got this upper level low dropping down. It's going to kind of suppress that unorganized system from moving much farther north. And then after that, this weekend, we've got a frontal boundary dropping down into South Texas. Now, not time to pull out the jackets or anything like that, but this will bring in some lower humidity and again, also kind of suppress that little disturbance down in the Gulf of Mexico through early next week. So after another shot at rain tomorrow, we get some drier air working in this weekend. Look at that, 62 Sunday morning. It's going to feel really nice, guys.
And fall is finally on the calendar.
90.
At least it's on the calendar.
Yeah.
I see it on the calendar, yeah.
But it's on the calendar.
Fall and 90 don't necessarily go together,
well,
but
they do
in
around
South Texas, that's right. All right, so the Cowboys already 1 game in and a bunch of injuries, Greg, 1 severe.
They're getting very thin at one position, and we're talking about Leighton Vander Esch, of course, a linebacker, where now they're down another linebacker. Who might that be? When we come back, we'll let you know. And UTSA's new head coach warns his players, don't eat the cheese. We'll explain coming up.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
Not only are the Dallas Cowboys down starting middle linebacker Leighton Vander Esch for at least the next 6 weeks after having surgery to repair a broken collarbone on Monday. Now Sean Lee will be out for the next 6 weeks as well. That's after he had surgery last week in Philadelphia to repair a sports hernia, according to the NFL Network. Lee had already been placed on injury reserve, but now by having surgery, that means he'll be out for more than we first thought, which was the first 3 games. Now looking for a return in mid-October. And that's a shame, since last year was the first season in his 10-year NFL career that he played in every single game. Head coach Mike McCarthy is also concerned with his banged-up offensive line.
We were under too much duress, as a protection unit. So, we'll learn from that. As far as not only what we're doing, how we're doing it, and particularly the down and distance tendencies of, when we're throwing it and how we're throwing it. So, I think it's just, part of the product of not being in sync.
Right. The Cowboys are 4.5-point favorites in their noon kickoff against the Atlanta Falcons. Meantime, the Houston Texans are preparing for their home opener as well after coming out their season opening 34-20 defeat to the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. And it doesn't get any easier for Houston when they have to host Baltimore. That's because the Ravens ran over Houston last year 41-7 while rolling up 491 yards of total offense. And they're coming off a season opening 38-6 rout of Cleveland, in which quarterback Lamar Jackson was named the AFC's Offensive Player of the Week. And to make matters worse, they are one of the early favorites to go to the Super Bowl. So how did the Texans stop Jackson?
The Ravens offense is very different than the Chiefs. There's absolutely no comparison to what they do. They just use different personnel. They run, totally different types of plays. Lamar is an excellent player. Ingram, the back. Hollywood Brown, the tight ends. They've got a lot of weapons, good offensive line. So, we're going to really have to, play a very disciplined game.
And Texans will be 7-point underdogs when they kick off Sunday against Baltimore at 3:25. The UTSA Roadrunners are preparing for their home opener this weekend against Stephen F. Austin in the Alamo Dome, coming off their exciting 51-48 double overtime victory over the I-35 rivals Texas State. That win, magnified for several reasons, was broadcast on national TV. It was the first win ever for Jeff Traylor as a college coach, and it resulted in both Sincere McCormick and Hunter Duplessis being named the Conference USA Players of the Week for offense and special teams. That's after McCormick rushed for a school record 197 yards, and Duplessis kicked the game-winning 29-yard field goal. But Traylor issued this warning to his players: don't eat the cheese, don't get caught in the praise mousetrap, and he wasn't subtle about it.
We came in, we had a mousetrap in our lockers with cheese in it. Don't take the cheese. Can't really buy into all that stuff that's going on. We got to come out there and prepare every day because SFA is coming the Alamo Dome to win. Cannot take them lightly. We got to go out there and execute and go through everything, go through our reads. We got to go out there, can't get tired, and we got to go out there and strain so we come out victorious.
Don't get caught in the trap. Don't get caught up in the hype of just because of the first game. He knows that, we had a first game, but we're still not where we're supposed to be. He knows that this game coming up is a big determination of how far we come. We only can go two ways, either backward or forward, and we're determined to move forward on this upcoming game.
I like that style here. They actually put a mousetrap with cheese in every player's locker. Don't get focused on what you just accomplished. Be focused on what's ahead.
Yeah, the task at hand.
You got it.
Also, be careful reaching into the locker.
Yeah, that's true, too. Careful.
We'll be right back.
We have a breaking news update to a story we brought you at 5 o'clock. One person in the hospital following a shooting on the southeast side. Police say the shooting happened in the 1300 block of Mission Grande just before 5 today. The victim was transported priority 1 to the hospital with multiple gunshot wounds. Details of the shooting unknown at this time. No arrests have been made. We'll continue to follow this developing story. Historic and catastrophic flooding taking shape along the Gulf Coast as Hurricane Sally continues to slowly move inland.
That storm made landfall this morning as a Category 2 hurricane, now downgraded to a Category 1.
With winds of 105 miles per hour, Hurricane Sally pummeled southern Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. In Escambia County, Florida, a section of the 3-mile bridge that connects Gulf Breeze to Pensacola is missing. Debris and property damage can be seen all over, along with flooded roads, downed power lines, and toppled trees.
We just heard a loud thud hit the house and vibrated the wall where we were sleeping. And her grandma woke up screaming that something fell on the house. I mean, it was just scary.
Sally moving at such a slow pace, generally 3 miles an hour. So some areas have already seen more than 24 inches of rain. They could get 10 more inches by the time the storm moves on. Nearly 27 million people from the Gulf Coast to Virginia now under flood or flash flood warnings. Sally is the first hurricane to make landfall in Alabama since Ivan back in 2004. Yes, you do need a flu shot. No, it will not increase your chances of getting COVID-19. The CDC is working to make sure that people know that, despite some social media posts that say the contrary. Ursula Perry reports misinformation could come with extreme costs. So there's a virtual reality program now that can show you the repercussions.
The flu may cause tens of thousands of deaths every year, but traditionally, vaccination rates are low.
18 to 49-year-old adults, young adults, typically don't get a flu shot.
In fact, about 70% of people in that age group don't.
I've just been too lazy to go do it.
Now researchers have developed a virtual reality experience to show people how serious it is and how it's sometimes deadly when you don't get a flu vaccine.
We're able to get you to very realistically experience future negative consequences without paying the physical costs.
To help fight off the viruses, send in white blood cells with your right controller's trigger.
In a study, they found most people who took part in this interactive virtual reality experience had a higher intention of getting the flu shot than those who watched a 2D video.
When they vaccinate, it's not just about them, but it's also about the people very close to them.
For Carter, who used to get a flu vaccine every year before he entered college, the virtual reality experience made a difference.
Kind of reminded me why I get the flu vaccine in the first place.
You have just received this year's flu vaccine.
Misinformation about the flu vaccine and its connection with COVID has run rampant on the internet for months now. Even one claimed that flu vaccines will increase your risk of coronavirus by 36%. There is no evidence that that is true. What's more, researchers today are saying you could get COVID-19 and the flu at the same time, increasing your risk of a twin pandemic. You need to get that vaccine, in other words. Ursula Perry, KSAT 12 News.
My parents each year will Venmo whichever sibling of mine gets their flu shot first.
Really?
Wow.
Like they pay them off?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, here's $5, go get coffee or something, but.
That's smart.
And I already lost. One of my siblings already got there, so.
Have you got yours yet?
Not yet.
Hmm.
It's on the list of things to do.
We're doing a drive-through event coming up.
Oh, yeah.
26th, 8 to 4.
Freeman Coliseum. Noted. Just saying.
It'll be an email.
I will Venmo you if you go.
Okay, cool. Done. There you go. All right, let's start with a look at Sally. Sally, now a tropical storm, making landfall as a Category 2 hurricane. Winds 60 miles per hour. Check out the movement here. Sally is not moving fast. Northeast at just 7 miles per hour, and that has been a big issue with this system. And while there are still several flash flood warnings out across the panhandle of Florida and into southern Alabama, these are some radar estimated rainfall totals over the past 48 hours. That should say 48 hours. But some places, bottom line here, along the Alabama, Florida Gulf Coast received more than 2 feet of rain in the past 48 hours. And that is just way too much really for any period of time here. So we've checked Sally off the list. Out in the open Atlantic, we've also got Teddy and Vicky. So the last name on the list for this year is Wilfred. After that, we go to the Greek alphabet and pick up with Alpha. We could easily have Wilfred be this disturbance out in the open Atlantic, or the disturbance a little bit closer to home here in the Gulf of Mexico. So let's talk about this. This could end up being our next tropical depression over the next several days. Odds of that happening over the next 5 days are up to 70% now. So normally this would be something that would maybe be kind of overly concerning, especially because it is closer to home there in the Gulf of Mexico. But we've got a couple things happening over the next few days that are going to keep that disturbance suppressed down to our south. The first of which is a upper level low that's going to swing overhead of us tomorrow, giving us another good chance of some rain. This will kind of move there Friday into the Gulf and suppress that disturbance. We've also got a frontal boundary dropping in this weekend. That's also going to keep that disturbance down to the south and give us a little dose of some lower humidity. So we need to cash in on the rain tomorrow. Tomorrow does look like our really our best chance this week of a nice scattering of some showers and non-severe storms. So we had those showers and storms out there this afternoon. Next couple of hours, I can't rule out an isolated rumble of thunder here. Generally, as we get into the late evening and overnight hours, just a chance of an isolated shower. Do want to check on this cell one more time that's moving now into Wilson County. It has started to lose a bit of its gusto. That's a little bit of good news, but we do have some outflow boundaries dancing around out there, and so I think that could sustain some of the shower and non-severe thunderstorm activity for a few more hours. So if you hear a shower tonight, don't be alarmed. Just be thankful for the rain, right? Tomorrow afternoon, our next best shot at rain, a 40% chance of some showers and storms. Rain chances drop out Friday, and this weekend looking really nice. Morning lows in the 60s. Guys.
All right. Thanks, Katie.
We'll be right back with San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg. Just the facts. It's what we try to bring you with our KSAT Q&A every night, Monday through Friday, and we are pleased most Wednesdays, I think probably every Wednesday so far, to be joined by San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg right after he gets done with his afternoon coronavirus briefing. Mr. Mayor, thank you for joining us. I want to talk about the formal process that you have begun to review the policy of the San Antonio Police Department and the city when it comes to officer-worn body camera footage. Why did you think that was an important thing to do?
Well, we now have every police officer outfitted with a body camera, and those have been an incredible innovation for police departments all across the country. In San Antonio, it's reduced the number of complaints against officers dramatically since they've been instituted. One thing that hasn't changed, or one thing that hasn't been really delved into, is a policy related to when footage is released. But as you've seen over the last year, there are different expectations about when footage can be released. There's different statutes that govern when they can be released. And then there's, of course, investigations that depend on footage being released at the right time appropriately. So we want to put together a policy that's transparent so that the public and our community in general can have a proper set of expectations and know when footage is going to be released in these different circumstances.
We've been showing images of the body cam video that was released after the arrest of Matthias Ometu. He was the man SAPD arrested. They said he matched the description of the suspect they were looking for. Turns out he was not the guy. There were 2 hours of body cam footage released that really showed the full picture of what transpired there. You were telling us that you believe this review you're requesting is not anti-police in any way, but this is a review you would like to see for those policies, and also the fact that we pay for body cameras. This is something that the taxpayer is paying for, correct?
No, absolutely. And it's in the public interest for facts to come out. And oftentimes, the facts support. And in fact, I would say probably most times facts support the actions of officers. But, again, it's the issues where there's clearly concern from the community and there's a need for facts to be revealed. The best way to do that is to provide for body camera footage to be released. Now, there are different circumstances, though, in statutes that govern that process. There's a key difference between the footage that was released with the Ometu case and this one, and that is in the Ometu case, there was no investigation underway. This is an active criminal investigation, so state statute prevents that footage from being released immediately. But when that investigation is over, I'd like for it to be released because I think it's in the best interest of the public to view that themselves.
And we should point out that investigation you're referring to is the shooting death of Daryl Zamalt, which we have covered. SAPD shot and killed him when serving warrants yesterday.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Mayor Nirenberg. We're back with San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg for our live KSAT Q&A. Mr. Mayor, there's something that you said at the end there that I want to clarify. You said that the state law says that they're not allowed to release body cam footage during an ongoing investigation, but the state law actually says they may withhold it while the investigation is ongoing. And there are cities like Arlington and Fort Worth that have released video within days of officer involved shootings. So what's the clarification there?
During an active criminal investigation, which is what this is, state law prevents the release of body cam footage unless there's an extraordinary public safety interest, and that is determined by the police chief. So at this point, state law is compelling the footage to be within the investigation.
But we do want to note that there are major Texas cities that do release body cam footage within a certain timeline. So when you're looking at this review that you've requested, you said earlier you wanted that review to ultimately lead to policies put in place that specify how SAPD should treat body camera footage. What specifics do you want to see in a policy, specifically a timeline? Is that something you're interested in seeing?
That's exactly right, Myra. So again, my preference is for all the body cam footage to be released. I mean, I think it's in the public's interest. It helps facts to get out and for there not to be any misinterpretations of situations. What I would like to see out of the policy is a clear set of expectations in these different cases about when body camera footage will be released to the public. When we have those expectations internally and externally, it makes the job of policing as well as our role in community policing relations a lot easier and a lot safer.
Yeah, if we go back to the Ometu video, I mean, it's long, but if you look at the entire thing, you as a citizen of San Antonio can make up your mind whether, and see all angles. And so that's why I think when you're talking about transparency and state laws and it being at the discretion of the San Antonio police chief, that's where, some things get a little cloudy. I mean, we're dealing with the Bexar County sheriff as well with the Damian Daniels video and the fact that he says it won't be released because of the attorney general. So there's a lot of different interpretations out there on what may withhold it while the investigation is ongoing means.
That's right. And so, and again, the case that you just mentioned, with the 2-hour-long footage, a viewer there hopefully would leave that situation knowing how complex that is from both standpoints. But you're absolutely right. Having a clear policy and set of expectations, we don't have to be navigating this discretion that's involved with the release of body camera footage any further. And again, people can expect when that's going to be out in a timely manner.
And that is what body camera footage is set up to do, is in place to do, is to give us the full picture and that transparency that people are requesting from law enforcement across this country. Mayor, thanks for being with us. We're going to talk to you again tonight at 10:30.
Sounds good. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
We are now less than 7 weeks away from the 2020 presidential election. Last night, President Donald Trump answered questions face-to-face from undecided voters during a town hall in Pennsylvania. The voters got to speak directly with the president for about 90 minutes. They asked questions about a range of big topics right now, the pandemic and how the Trump administration has handled that so far, recent deaths of Black Americans at the hands of police, and what voters can expect from the Trump administration's health care plan.
And I want to know what it is that you're going to do to assure that people like me who work hard, we do everything we're supposed to do, can stay insured.
We're going to be doing a health care plan very strongly and protect people with pre-existing conditions.
Thank you both.
Meantime, Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden spoke at a Hispanic Heritage Month event in Kissimmee, Florida. We'll be right back. That is all our time for now. Thanks for watching.
See you right back here on the Night Beat at 10.